crazy. My arthritis is not gonna love that. I don't trust it. It's all made out of plastic. It's like it's gonna break on me or something. It's actually way longer than I expected it to be. That's interesting. I feel like at this point I'm just stalling and I'm kind of stuck on this because really if I think about it, I think like this is good enough for like a very polished sketch, even better than what's needed. But I'm kind of like intimidated, I guess, to move on to the next sketch because it's kind of like you have to start it all over. So I don't know, maybe I'm just being silly about this because it doesn't have to be polished at all. I just needed to get like the concept down and make it as solid as possible. Not as solid as possible, but make it like very legible and have everything in its place and have the perspective kind of correct. So not just a rough idea, but rather like a cleaned up sketch. And then all of these like design elements of changing some lines and giving it some more shape and personality, I guess. All of this can be done later at the next stage, especially because I'm going to be putting it on another canvas and resizing it, and the quality is gonna get all fucked up because it's Procreate and that's just what happens. So what I'm doing here is like quite useless. I'm just lacking confidence to move on to the next object. I actually just realized that I had an idea that I was like, okay, I'm going with this one and it's gonna be the last one. But now I'm realizing that if I go with this one and it is the last one, then I won't have any single like pumpkin design. And that's kind of silly for like a Halloween sticker pack or prop sheet, whatever this is. But then starting to work on the pumpkin design is very intimidating because for some reason I'm just struggling to draw pumpkins. And the idea that I have, I think is quite nice, but I'm not sure. It's not gonna be pain with like designing it because I'm not entirely sure about it and how all the elements are going to be, because I tried to draw it several times in my sketchbook and then I haven't really struck gold basically with it. Like I just kept redrawing the same thing over and over again and it hasn't been getting better, so I need to like make a couple drastic changes, but I don't know what I could change there exactly. Maybe it's gonna be easier in digital. I'm very pleased with this one. I'm not sure about the parchment paper. Definitely looks better with it than without it. I'm just unsure about the shapes and everything and how I'm gonna be shading it. I think it's gonna be hell. I need to gain some confidence. I'm just intimidated by things. Apparently that's how I am nowadays. I mean, I've always been this way with my art especially. I feel like an imposter. Let's move on to something else. I need to move on from this. Oh my god, this was the initial sketch. Oh my god. Oh, that's crazy to see how far I've pushed it. It's okay if your sketch looks like shit. Which, this doesn't really look like shit. This part does. The donut was so bad. The coffee cup is okay, but the coffee cup initially was also, it was kind of a struggle, I'm not gonna lie. But here we go. This is the candy apple that's gonna be the final thing. And maybe I'll make like a cute artwork out of these three because I like the idea of different candy apple designs, different like skull candy apple designs. And then we have our bat that is stuck in a cupcake. I love it so much. I had so much fun working on this as well. And then our spider donut with a cup of coffee. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that I'm going to go with these two sketches for the next two objects, and I think it's gonna be it unless I come up with something else. I don't really have anything else that I wanna push forward and make into like a sticker or a final prop. Obviously it's not the only page that I have for this project. Oh my god. Art block stuff. Okay, help. It all actually started here, which is July 15th. And at that point I was just doodling some like Halloween inspired candy. Yes, in July, because I have problems, obviously. I was just trying to doodle like a Halloween inspired candy or like a candy bowl, and I really like this thing actually. And at first I thought that maybe I could do just a very quick little one-off prop project, more specifically for a game, like something that could go in my portfolio, and in case I ever needed to get a job in the industry. I could like make a bunch of these projects and learn stuff and maybe get a job in a studio. I don't know, those were my thoughts back then. I was imagining like drawing just like one candy and then it in like an interface, like maybe if our main character like picks up the candy and it's in their inventory, and then a bowl with the candies where this candy came from. But I was then kind of swept up by struggling because that was right after I moved here to Ohio, and then I had like a couple weeks of work before I had to quit, and it was a whole thing. So that never really came to fruition, but it kind of merged into the project that I'm now working on, which is these like stickers or props. I don't know. I don't think the style of them is really gonna be good enough to put on like a game art portfolio, but I'm just kind of trying things out and treading the waters and stuff. But yeah, here I started ideating more seriously for this project and just kind of drawing out some pumpkins and stuff. And this idea and this idea, this is the initial stuff, and then I just keep like redrawing it over and over again, which, you know, doesn't show me as a very good concept artist, because what's the point? It's the same thing. Like, at least change it drastically, which I kind of did, which is not a drastic change. But still, it's like there is enough of a difference for it to be sufficient, but like it's kind of embarrassing how I approach these things, because again, I just redraw the same thing over and over again, and like, what's the point? I guess I'm like too scared to make too big of a change, even though it's my sketchbook, so maybe I'm just not inventive enough. But I was struggling with pumpkins really bad. This isn't mine, this is a redraw of a pumpkin from an artwork by Forrest Imel. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but he's a very cool artist. and I really love how he approached it, and the shapes and the dynamics and the proportions, everything is just so good and the perfect type of pumpkin I want to be able to draw. Because this is a dud. I don't like this. So I'm using this as a point of reference. Not very successfully, but hey, we're getting there. Struggling. And then here I was ideating on the cupcake, and this is what I found. I think as opposed to redrawing the same thing over and over again and making it like 3D, I think it helps to make like a flat design first, and this, like, you can change much more things. Actually, I really like this with a ghost. This approach is very cool, and I kind of forgot about it. I think I should keep using it. Accidentally designed one for Christmas. Two things that are always on my mind are Halloween and Christmas. But yeah, this one I ended up going with, and I realized just yesterday when I was looking through my scans from the sketchbook is that I forgot completely about the cherry, but I think it's for the best actually, because it kind of draws attention in a bad way. Obviously, it also has to do with the tonal work, but I don't want to mess with this. I'm not very good with tone. I have lots to learn. I started 100 heads challenge here, and it was not going well. But then the next page is like my favorite. I'm gonna skip all of this because this is like embarrassing stuff. I don't want anyone to see this. I was not a very good place. This is completely unrelated to what we're talking about, but I like this thing for the head challenge. And yeah, this is the final spread for the project. I was trying to, like, again, here I kind of came back to this like flatter style. I was experimenting with like the pumpkin sizes and stuff, which is something to translate into here. Actually, I should take from here and experiment. Just the pumpkin sizes and also the sizes and like designs of the mug. And the funny thing is that I'm intimidated by having to draw a pumpkin and figure all of this out, because I don't understand them for some reason. It's so difficult for me. And I looked at the pumpkin when I opened my sketchbook, and I'm like, oh no, like I have to tackle this now. And then I looked at the mug and I was like, oh no, I actually don't want to draw a mug right now because it's kind of painful, because I am very picky about how I draw things. I need everything that I draw, like the final sketches, I need them to be with good perspective, and I need them to be almost like they're ready to be made into like 3D artworks. I always need my stuff to have form and shapes that are very readable and very realistic, or like semi-realistic. So drawing something like a mug or like a coffee cup takes a lot of effort for me, because it can't just be like a flat illustration style. It needs to be in the space and it needs to be believable. I don't want to do this right after the coffee cup, but then the pumpkin is its own thing. So yeah, I'm gonna show this page because the sketches there are horrendous. However, I'm gonna show this bit because I think it's really funny. I watched Inside Out day before yesterday, and I was drawing doodles of anxiety just from my head. I just think they're funny as fuck. Like, I don't know, I get a kick out of them. Every time I see them, they're so nice. Yeah, okay. Enough with procrastinating and laughing. I'm gonna do real work now. superficially, I no longer understand what's happening, but I think I figured it out perspective-wise. And I think I'm gonna go with these ghosts. Was this one kind of overflowing? No, what am I trying to say? This has been a very busy day and I have been getting distracted and I'm so overwhelmed. I need to go rest. Was this ghost being like on top of the pumpkin and covering it, basically? I kind of also really like this idea with the tail. Also, I had a problem for the longest time and I finally figured out what the problem was with perspective, and I don't know how I didn't catch it earlier, but I guess I'm just too tired. But it's like a top-down view and it's kind of at an angle, so kind of the same as I'm holding my camera right now, but the eyes are in a perspective where it's like we're looking up at the pumpkin. And it took me a hot minute to figure out what was wrong, and I finally solved it, and I think it gives it a very nice look. I might change the expression because I had ideas of it being like scared because the ghosts are coming out of its head, but I don't know. We'll see.